that. If there's any nuggets, if there's any nuggets that you can share with some of the new people here who probably haven't got started in solar or may have gotten started in solar and are seeing the up and down, but just talk to us a little bit about your story, Lee.
Well, one thing I can say is, you just have to be persistent. I never sold solar before. The only thing I knew about solar was it went on your roof and it saved you money. Right now, I've never in my life made double digits in a month consistently. What brought me to this opportunity and to brought me around full circle on this is the opportunity of making residual and being able to help others as I'm helping myself. This is a big opportunity out here with solar. The customers, you've already got advertising out there. You know what I mean? Advertisement is on the radio. Advertisement is coming through people's phones. It was, I wouldn't say hard in the beginning, but once it's like anything, you have to learn a craft. This is a new craft. This is something that you're gonna have to develop and help work you through all the bad times and all the no's. But you got to get through past all that, because you're gonna get a lot of no's, but you're gonna get a lot of yeses. You're gonna get a lot of people that are interested, that know about it. What we're doing, you know what I tell people every day? You know what I'm doing? I'm out here just giving you options. I'm just educating you and giving you the same information that I have that's going to actually help you and put you in a better position. It's all about helping that person, because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're out here actually saving people money on their electrical bill every single month, and they love it. You know what I mean? But you just got to work hard at it. You know what I mean? And be persistent, but it'll all pay out in the end. You just got to, see what your goals are, know what they are, know what you want out of this industry, know what you want monthly. If you never, I worked a lot of 9 to 5s. I worked a lot of jobs where I made a lot of money, but my thing is that money is gone. And once the money is gone, it's like you're spinning your wheels on still making money. But I feel like if I'm making double digits a month, more money than I've, anticipated or ever made before, I think I can build on that and build and secure a future for my family. And that's the biggest thing for me, is securing a future for my family, because I see an opportunity in this like no other. Like this solar thing is like the beginning of like the iPhone and everything. Like my family's going to be in a better position. Our future is going to be brighter. And, Jonas from the beginning, River, John, Chad, Christy, Avi, everybody's been such a great help, and everybody's gonna help you on your way. You don't have to do it by yourself. You know what I mean? So just keep tugging at it. You know what I mean? I didn't make my first sale for what I think it took. I was so excited about it. I was calling so many people. I was making so many contacts, but it took a while to get my first sale. But after I got the first sale, you just start like, man, this really works. Then your second one comes, then your third, and you'll start reaching out. But full circle, it all makes sense once you make sense to the customer. That you're saving them money every month, and it'll work out.
Perfect, guys. Let's give Lee a round of applause out in Jacksonville, guys. Please, please, please. All right, sounds good, Lee. Thank you so much, man. I'm excited about your soon-to-be promotion.
Good, Jonas.
I know. Thank you. Got to show up right. I knew you guys are going to be on here, so I had to show up right. So, guys, so before we get started, guys, I really like to make this really interactive. Turn the cameras on. This is some exciting information, life-changing information. If you guys can, turn your cameras on. Put your phone on mute. Any questions? We'll have that for later, guys. So let me get into this, guys, right now. Let me know, guys, if you guys can see my screen, and we can go ahead. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. All right, perfect, guys. So, guys, before we get started here, just tell you guys a little about myself. My name is Jonas Osias. For those of you that don't know who I am, my background prior to getting involved in the solar, I pretty much did any and everything, right? Most people, they'll say, you know what? I'm someone who has more degrees than a thermometer. What does that mean? I went to undergrad, right? I went to community college, got my associate. Then I went to, undergraduate, right? Got my bachelor's degree. Then I went to law school. I was a financial advisor. I had my Series 6, 63, 7. I mean, you name it, 215. And I was doing all of that in pursuit to be able to have an opportunity to where I can be able to own 100% of my time, right? Once I got sold on the concept of what's called leverage income, which we'll get into a bit deeper, to where you can make money while you're sleeping, on vacation the whole night. I was always just chasing that, right? So prior to getting involved in the solar industry, I was actually in the insurance industry, right? I was at a call center. I'd work from literally 4:30 Pacific Standard Time till 10, 11 o'clock at night, right? You know, sun up, before sun up and past sundown. And I made a good amount of money. In 2019, we hit #1, did extremely well, made about $600,000 to about $700,000. But guess what? It took 100% of my time. I was literally in the office 6 days a week, right? And even 7 days a week, right? I barely would have any time to myself. I worked so hard that I ended up getting diagnosed with anxiety and high blood pressure. I work I work out all the time. What ended up happening because I was just killing myself doing that. And I truly believe, right, when you're asking for something, you know, I'm a big believer in God, that he has a way of showing you a vehicle, showing you an opportunity. And I'll never forget when I was at my cube, I said, you know what, I want to be able to spend time with my fiance. At that time, she's my wife now, you know, not to have to be away from her. And I wanted an opportunity to where I can make that amount of money, if not more, but be able to control 100% of my time. Does that make sense, guys? So, and it's crazy. I was actually bringing a gentleman into the insurance industry. He finally passed the test, and it took about 5 times. And we finally came on board. He was like, Jonas, I'm not going to do this. I was just like, why? He was like, look, I'm not going to work the way you work. Fast forward from there, he introduced me to an individual who was actually in the solar industry. I said, look, what did you do? He said, look, Jonas, I made $19,000, right? I said, doing what? He said, solar. Guys, I want you guys to understand this. As Lee stated, I had never seen solar panels before. I had never sold solar, but here's what piqued my interest. It was the energy industry. So I knew that was the next wealth trend. Does that make sense? And when I sat down with the individual, introduced him to an opportunity, it was the first time, probably the second time I met someone who told me that he made $100,000 in a month. And it's so crazy. 5 years before that, that's what I wrote down in my journal. When I met an individual in law school, I said, look, my goal, I'm going to shoot to make $100,000 a month and help other individuals do the same thing. So guys, that's how I got introduced to solar. They told me like that Florida was just, you know, it's the pioneer state. Nobody was down there. And I took on that challenge. I left the insurance industry, dove right into into solar. I knew nothing about solar. I had to relearn how to, you know, sell face-to-face. I knew nothing about solar. I had never seen solar panels. And it was probably the most difficult thing for me, but it was the best thing for me. It was the most life-changing experience, right? When I decided to plant my flag, it took me about 2 to 3 months. And that's because I wasn't coachable, right? I didn't want to follow the system. Once I started following the system, being coachable, I started closing deals, planted my flag June of 2021. What year? 2021. Planted my flag June of 2021. Started making $32,000 checks, $52,000 check. And in December, I had my first 6-figure month, right? I made over $120,000, right? And I remember just putting my head down and just going to work. And that changed everything for me. After that, it was nothing less. So my position now, I'm high 6-figure earner in the solar industry, soon to make 7 figures in the industry this year. So all I want to do today, guys, is to be just a vessel of information. All right. So the same information that was delivered to me, I'm going to deliver to you. And if you see an opportunity, I welcome you to the family. So let's talk a little bit about solar. The name of our organization, name of our company is Dynasty Solar. We are powered by Titan. We're going to get a bit into that later. That is huge. We're blessed to be powered by the #1 installer in the nation. All right, guys. So what's our company's mission? This is very important. As the pioneers that have came over, it is all this is saying, take some time to read this, guys, right? If you can, read this and hone in on this, right? All this is saying is that if you decide to lock arms with us, we pledge to treat you with the highest level of integrity, not just yourself, but homeowners as well, right? We pledge to provide you with the trainings and tools necessary to be able to help you succeed in the industry. And one of the biggest things that we subscribe to is it's about powering your passion, right? Because I know just as you guys may not be passionate about solar or saving the planet. You may have a passion to say, hey, look, I want to be able to, you know, sing or art or whatever it is, architect, whatever it is. Look, use this vehicle, or to give back to your community. Use this vehicle to help get you there, right? And one of our slogans is that it's a vehicle to where you can create your own legacy for dynasties to come. Does that make sense, guys? So one of the things I'll tell you before we get into the next slide, it is hugely important that any opportunity that you decide to join, it is important that you have a strong reason why. Why do you want to join the opportunity? See, guys, for me, I wanted to get into the solar industry and learning about it, even as difficult it may have sounded, because I wanted to own 100% of my time. I didn't want to have to report to the cube. I didn't want to have to work 6-7 days a week. Does that make sense? I didn't want to be in a position to where I would miss the wealth trend boat. I missed that 10 years ago. Then I missed it again 5 years ago. Does that make sense? But I truly wanted to be able to be part of something to where if I give it my all, I can enjoy my time with my family, and I can be able to financially change the life of those around me. And that's what solar has done for me. Does that make sense, guys? So you got to decide what's your reason why. Is it to spend more time with your family? Is it to go on vacation? Is it to give back to charity? Does that make sense? Or is it to be financially free and no longer have to worry about debt? Hey guys, I'll tell you this one thing. Most people say it's not about money, but imagine living a life where you can move money as an obstacle just clearly out of the way. Guys, I'll tell you a little bit about my background before we get back in. I was raised by a single mom on a dirt road in a mobile home. They came from Haiti on a boat, so they didn't know anything. The best advice my parents could give me is, Jonas, go to school and get a what? Good job. They didn't know anything about that language, but here's what I understood. I was going to get the information and I was going to break that. You know what I mean? So I was going to break that constant poverty. And I did that. Does that make sense? But it took massive work, and it helped with this vehicle, guys. So think about that. The other thing that's important, that if you decide to lock arms with us, look, you're dealing with an organization that's about transparency, right? It's about empowering one another. Each one teach one. Each one teach one is an old African proverb that say during the time of slavery that said if a slave learned how to read or how to write or any math or anything to that sort, it was their duty to help the next person. Why do we subscribe to that here? If you have anyone in the organization that knows something that is furthering, their book of sale, that is giving them high sales, or they're doing well at, it is on their duty to teach everybody in the organization. See, a lot of times, guys, we join sales organizations where the top producer like, hey, this is my information. I'm not going to tell anybody about it. They're having all the success and everybody around them isn't. So it's on their duty to be able to pass that down. Also, think about, if you build it, you keep it. So if you build an organization, you don't have to worry about anybody taking that from you. Does that make sense, guys? So let's talk a little bit about our partners. Right now, our partner is Titan, right? And our financial partner is Goodleap, right? Why is this important? It has a 97% passing rate. Mr. Diaz, can you hear me clear? Right? Has a 97% passing rate. Why is that important? There are other finance companies that where you try to get them approved, they get denied, right? Because their passing rate is low. Goodleap right now has the highest level passing rate, meaning if you go and run 10 people through, 9.7 of them will be able to pass it. They also are very philanthropic. They give back to the community, things of that sort, which you'll get a bit deeper in. So guys, let's talk a little bit about how solar works. Super simple. All you're doing is educating them, creating the design, qualifying them, and now next step. That's all you're doing, right? 3 steps before you take it next. You sit down with the homeowner to give you a utility bill. And guys, you're going to have a trainer that's going to assist you every step of the way. Educate, design, qualify, next step. Does that make sense? So let's talk a little bit about our installers. Guys, this is hugely important. There are many people that join the industry and they're dealing with installers that have subpar panels. They don't know what they're doing. You're dealing with a lot of problems. So now what happens, that installer is a direct reflection of you. Does that make sense? So why is it important that we have a partnership with Titan? They're the #1 installer in sales in the country. They've done 100+ projects, right, in the US. And here's something that's very, very important. They only deal with top tier panels, inverters, and batteries, right? I'll tell you, one of the worst things that I've dealt with on one of my first couple presentation, we had another installer, and I lost the deal because the homeowner stated, hey, look, they did the research and found that the panels were made in China, right? Here's the great thing about the panels that we operate. It's made right here in the US, in Georgia. top of the line panels, right? You will lose people who value that, right? Also, it has a 25-year production performance guarantee. Does that make sense? So if we're stating that it's going to produce this amount, 25 years, it will continue to produce that. So you have the reassurance for your homeowner that they're getting something that is of a high quality, guys. All right, guys. So here's one thing that we understand, and you can let the homeowner know, hey, look, every year that they're in that home, and if they use the same amount of energy, and you guys will learn more about these terms, kilowatts, things of that sort. Let's just say they use the same amount of energy this year, same amount of energy next year, and the following years after that. What does this chart say, Sasha? That the rate is going to continue to do what? Go down or go up? I can't hear you. Exactly, right? Love that. Put that energy up. It's going to continue to go up. Does that make sense? So I always let the homeowner know, if you're wanting to, you got to power your home with something, right? You're either going to decide to stick with the electric company that's going to continue to go up, or you're going to go with solar. Either way, if you stay with your electric company, the rates will go up, versus with solar, you're going to lock in the rate what? Right now. Does that make sense? So let's talk a little bit about how solar works, guys. Look, this is what I'll tell you. There's some people that you're going to deal with in the industry. They're going to use all these terms, right? AC, DC, all these highfalutin, solar grammatics. There's someone who want to show you that they're a solar professor. Look, I don't get involved in all of that. I don't know what the DC or AC, I don't know what any of that stands for. Here's what I know, right? I sit down with the homeowner, I show them a presentation, I click through a few sides. Hey, what do you want to do? Does this look good? Yeah, here's your last 12 months of your electric bill. Here's what it is, solar. And about 99% of the time, you're going to find, and I'll show you guys a bit later, solar is going to put them in the best option. What do you want to go with? Perfect. Okay, great. You know what, Sasha? I sit down with the homeowner, or Samuel, if I sit down with the homeowner, what's the last 4 of your social? What's your date of birth? Click, click, click. My job is done. I have an entire team that takes care of everything else, right? They put the panels on. They put all this stuff on the side of the home, line tap, this, and that. Look, they're the experts. They have the license. Does that make sense? I'm only going to focus on what? The 3 things, right? Educate, design. Does that make sense? Right? Qualify, boom, boom, next step. That's all you're going to focus on. Let the other experts take care of everything else. Look, a lot of times people get into solar, they make it super, super confusing, right? That's why it took me so long, because the person that worked with me made it super confusing, right? You would have thought they had an engineering degree in solar. You don't have to make it that. Look, it's super simple. Keep it as that. All right, guys. So look, why go solar? Sasha, I'm going to pick on you. You know what? Amir looks like Amir, let me see your beard. Look like he got there. Oh, man. Look, Amir got me on the beard, man. All right. I don't know if I'm saying your name right.
It's Amari.
Amari, yeah. I love that. I love that name. Love that name. Nice beard, my brother. So listen.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting down with the homeowner.
Just now I'm in a state where this company doesn't operate. I'm in Rhode Island, but literally just 10 minutes ago, I had a solar rep just walk up into my property offering solar. So it's something that, it's like breaking the surface,
It's happening. It's happening. Here's what I'll tell you. A great thing about that, where you're at. We're coming there soon. You'll just be a pioneer in that market. And we'll get on some things off camera why that's important. So guys, why go solar? There's no upfront costs, right? You eliminate your electric bill, right? It's a lower payment and it stays the same every single month. And then right now you get a 26% federal tax incentive, right? And also it puts you in a position to where you can own your power. Why is that important, guys? Look, right now, electricity is just like your cell phone bill, right? You have to pay this every single month, right? Whether you're sick, on vacation, whether you got fired, whether you're in the hospital, every 30 days, if you want to use this, you have to pay this bill. That's what electricity is right now, right? You can never pay this off. Does that make sense? But right now with solar, you can actually own your energy, right? That powers your home. So that's another great thing about it as well. So guys, now let's get into about the wealth trend. All right. We just got into the information, get about the wealth trend. So if you look at the 1980s and the 1990s, it was during the wealth trend was during the Microsoft and the .com era. Guys, understand this. If you study the history of America, About every 10 years, there's a wealth trend. And those that position themselves ahead of that wealth trend are able to create generational wealth for their family. But a lot of times what happens to most people, once they get introduced to the wealth trend, because nobody else is doing it, they're like, hey, look, it's not real. It's a scam. And this and that happened. But what you got to understand is, like Warren Buffett says, he said, look, do opposite of the majority, right? If you look at the 2000 to 2010 Facebook app era, right? Right now, there's a wealth trend that's happening right before you. What is that? It's the solar industry. One of the things that my coach, my mentor told me, he said, Jonas, most people are poor, not because of finance, not because of money. It's because they pass over opportunities repeatedly. POOR, passing over opportunities repeatedly. Guys, understand that's just how the world works. There's going to be people who are going to pass over this opportunity. All right, they'll sit aside. This is I don't believe in this. They'll go home, go back to their life, and as they start driving around, they're going to start seeing solar pop up every now and again. Does that make sense? I always like to tell anyone that I'm speaking to, look, you're a part of the industry sector, but today all you're going to make a decision on is whether you're going to be on accounts, remain on accounts payable, which is you pay your electric bill, or you're going to be on accounts receivable. Solar is happening. There's no question about that. So guys, let's take a look at when you talk about timing and positioning, right? Look at some of the stock values. Where did they start before? Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Bitcoin. I mean, you name it's right there. So you know, a large part of success is really all about timing and positioning. Does that make sense? So it's really just taking advantage of that opportunity. So let's talk a little bit about how it works as far as training, right? Here's one thing you don't have to worry about. So where if you decided to lock arms with us, we give you a pat on the back, you're off on your own. You'll get assigned a trainer. There's also what's called Beast Academy, to where it's Monday through Thursday, which they had today, 6:30 to 8:30, where we're hearing from experts in the industry that will have, you know, be able to ask any questions and guide you along the way on how to be successful in the industry. Does that make sense? So every step of the way, you'll be able to have assistance if you want it. Does that make sense? So first thing, once you enroll in the training, for you to pass the trainee phase, right, you have to close at least 2 projects, complete Beast Academy, also with your trainer. Here's the great thing about this, guys. With most solar organizations, you have to close at least 5 before you're off on your own. And with those 5, right, because I was subject to this when I first got in, you have to do a 50% split with 5 of your deals. All right, I experienced that. So we wanted to make sure that no one has to go through that. Look, you don't need to go through 5 deals if you're really in this to really know what to do. So here's how this would work. Billy, can you hear me clear? So
yeah, what's going on?
Perfect. All right. So here's how this would work. Okay. So your first 2 project will be with your trainer. Okay. It will be a 75-25 split. So meaning you set the appointment, you get the utility bill, you're going to get 75% as the trainee, and your trainer will get 25%, right? They're going to pitch it. They're going to get it qualified. They're going to draft it up. You're going to sit back and just learn, right? They're going to ensure after it closes, they're going to make sure that it helps and gets installed, any issues on that end, right? But guess who's doing all the work? You are, they are. They are. So you working smart or you working hard? Working smart. And then once after your second deal, you should have it. So here's one thing I'll tell you guys. Many times when we speak about this, we're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Don't do what I did. I was super uncoachable. I came in the industry with an ego up to here. I was in the health insurance industry. I was like, look, man, I'm beast mode. We're number one, yada, 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 yada. Look, I went through 8 closes, right? And 7 of my deals canceled. I lost a ton of money. I actually put myself back another 3-4 months because I wasn't coachable. Does that make sense? So as long as you're coachable and you decide to follow a system, there's no reason why you shouldn't have success in the industry. So this could be the exciting part that most people want to take a look at. So let's take a look at the commission, how the money works, okay? Let's just say you sit down with the homeowner and you find, you sit down, you plug everything into the system, right? And we find that their average utility bill is about $223, okay? And you go with that, you find that for their utility bill, is 223, but their solar bill would be $164. 99.9% of the time. Sam, what's that person going to choose? The 224 or the $164? 223 or 164?
Lower.
They're going to choose the lower one, right? 99.9% of the time. So, Bill, if you sat down with someone and you did that, that would pay you a commission of, on average, $6,800. So, guys, let me show you the math on how this works, right? Because in the solar industry, you can just personally produce and hit $1 million, right? It's truly where you can have life-changing money. So let's just take a look at this. Let's just say, you know what? Let's just say you average 10 deals a month, and you're able to get those installed, right? So if I were to take that, I would do what? 6860 times that by 10. That gives me what? 68,600. And if I times that by 12, that's going to put me at what? $823,000, right? That's closing 10 deals a month that we have installed. A lot of you guys are say, look, man, I'm a top salesperson. I can do this. But let me tell you this. What if you just did half that? What if all you did was 5, right? I would take the 823,200, divide that by 2. That would put me at $411,000, right? But let's just say I totally bombed it. Only did 25% of that. I only got about 2.5 to about 3 deals installed, right? That still puts me at what? Over $200,000. Does that make sense? So guys, so understand that the solar industry, it's truly just different, right? If you apply yourself and really go all in, there's some life-changing things that you can do. And again, guys, it's not all about the money, right? You're also saving the planet, putting the homeowner in the best position. But here's what I'll say, right? If you can do that, if you're taking care of the homeowner, also make sure that you're doing what? You're taking care of yourself. Does that make sense? So it also has, guys, if you can't mute yourself, please mute yourself. The other thing that it has is also gives you a tax credit. If we did this on this end, it'd be a tax credit of $14,293. All right. This is exactly how this works. Keep it super, super simple. I want to make this very, very clear. When I sit down with the homeowner, I look at the homeowner, hey, look, here's what you're paying for your electric bill. Here's what you'll be paying for solar. It's not 2 bills, it's 1 bill. Which one do you want to go with? Okay, perfect. Next step. Let's go. Does it make sense? Next step. That's all you're doing. What's the last 4 of your social? What's your date of birth? They e-sign a few places. That's all you're doing. You got a whole team that's taking care of everything else on the back end for you. So guys, let's take a look at this. Let's just say if you were to decide to build a sales team. Again, you don't have to do this, right? But if you decided to do this, the opportunity rewards you for building a sales team. Does that make sense? And if you guys want to write this down, the quote that has stuck with me for years, it's a quote by John Paul Getty, which is one of the first recorded billionaires. He stated, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own efforts. Again, he said, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own efforts. If I have 100% of my own efforts, what do you have? J-O-B, right? Just over broke, jumping over bills. Look, there's nothing wrong with a job, but I need you to understand, if you're in the employee state, you'll never be able to be able to own your time. You'll never be able to have financial freedom. It's just that's the rules of that game. Does that make sense? Versus there's a rule of this game. Does that make sense? So let's just say you decided to build a team. Sam, I'm going to pick on you. Let's just say, Sam, you're in the organization. You did everything that you needed to do, right? To rise into the rankings, right? And you were to reach to a regional director position, okay? At a regional director position, I call you and I say, hey, Sam. Yeah, he'll be there. I call you and I say, Sam, hey, listen, man, I just closed the deal. I'm in California and you're in Ohio. I just closed the deal. $7,875 goes into my bank account. But because, Sam, you're the regional director, you get an override of $1,250. Does that make sense? Let's take it up a notch, right? So here's where the game sort of changed for me. I said, well, shoot, if somebody like Sam, they did the same thing. He had a team of 10 and they all closed 1 deal. I would take the $1,250 times it by 10, that's over $12,000 that he's getting paid per week. Now, let's just say Sam gets to the next level, right? He does everything that he's supposed to do to get to the next level. He is now a regional vice president in the organization, right? I call Sam. Hey, Sam brought me into the opportunity. I just closed the deal. I'm a senior advisor. This is where the game changes. I'm a senior advisor. Hey, Sam, listen, I just closed the deal. I just made $7,875. $7,875 goes into my bank account. But because Sam is the regional vice president, he's going to pick up an override of $2,500 and the $1,250. But what did Sam do? Nothing. But he introduced me to the opportunity. Does that make sense? So I'll tell you what this game changed. So you're talking about what? About over $3,000, right? So
Jonas,
let's just say, yo.
About that, everybody needs to know that that money that he overrides doesn't take away from your money.
Absolutely. So Todd is absolutely right. It does not take away from your money at all. This is rewarding for building a sales team, right? And anybody can be able to do this, right? So let's just say it's $3,700. Now, if Sam had a team of 10 and they just sold that one deal, what are we looking at? That's $37,000. If you take that and times it by 4, look, you're talking about over $100,000 in a month. Guys, that's what changed the game for me. When I seen that, I said, you know what? That's it. June, I said, you know what? June, I'm gonna stop taking the vacation. I'm gonna stop sleeping till 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna go all in. Planting my flag. 3 months in, I hit the first override position. Then about 9 months, December, I hit what's equivalent to the regional vice president position, right? I just went all out, all in. I remember just not sleeping. I remember getting on the phone, calling my guy, and say, look, I'm gonna do this. If you guys are in, let's do this. And that's what I did. And look, and here's the reality. Most people aren't willing to do that. And if they are, they're not willing to just go all out. They're willing to take it along as they go. Look, when people ask me, what did you do? I just went all out. I put my head down and I just grinded. Picked my head up. 6 months later, I hit the position of regional vice president. But on the other company I was at was the position of what's called partner. That's what makes sense to me. Does that make sense? Right now, the next position over that is executive shareholder. We don't have anyone in the organization that has hit executive shareholder. Once you do that, you take care of, you get all the benefits of a regional vice president, but you also now get equity in the company. Does that make sense? So there's a 6% pool, and you are also able to take advantage of all the sales from the company as well. So guys, let's talk about this. What does it take to be able to get to that, to be able to get to those levels? All right. So as you guys see, the commission is a little higher. What does it take?
Networking.
So what does it take? If we take a look at the first position, which is a senior advisor position, that's about 5 installs within a 60-day period. And then you have 2 people on your team. After that, you'll now get a 5% override. Hitting the regional director position, that's 20 installs between you and everyone on your team within a 60-day period, having at least 4 people direct to you. Do that within a 6-day period. Now you're a regional director. And hitting regional vice president, as you guys see here as well, it's a total of 75 installs with having 5 people direct to you, but you also would have to duplicate at least 2 regional directors. And we can go into a bit of that in more detail. Again, I want to make sure this is very, very clear. You do not have to do this, but if you do want to build a sales team, the comp plan does reward you for doing that. Does that make sense? You now are in a position to be able to get overrides. So guys, last thing I'll tell you. So anytime I've given this presentation, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's on stage, in front of a room, there's always been 3 types of people, right? First person says, hey, you know what, Jonas, you could have stopped 15 minutes ago. I'm all in. I tell you, look, I welcome you to the family. Get back with the person that introduced you to the opportunity, and they will get you on the next step to be able to start making money in the solar industry. Second person says, hey, you know what, Jonas, I'm ready, but I just have a few questions. Look, not a problem. Get back with the person that introduced you to the opportunity. They'll answer your questions. If they can't answer the question, they'll get on the phone with me, and I'll make sure we answer any questions that you have. Does that make sense? And the third person, look, just doesn't see an opportunity for themselves at all. Look, not a problem. And if that's you, what I'll tell you, look, become a referral partner, right? Whoever it is that's seen something in you, right, that you may not have seen in yourself yet, that introduced you and wanted you to get in front of this information, be a referral partner. If you got friends, family, mom, sister, cousin, whoever it is, if they own a home, they're paying an electric bill, you can become a referral partner. If it's $5,000 commission or $10,000 commission, they'll give you 50% of the commission. Does that make sense? And again, and as down the line, if you decide to come on, then we welcome you to the family. So guys, thank you guys so much for being here on the call. If you guys have any questions that anyone that brought you on board cannot answer, directly to me. Other than that, I'm looking forward to lock arms with you and taking over the industry. Have a good night.
Thank you
I'll
so
see you
much,
guys soon.
Jonas. Thank you, Jonas. Appreciate you, man.